Welcome to The Hard Truth. We're sitting down today with my good friend, Jeff Wybo.
At the end of the day, the realtor, we're brokering the deal for someone else getting rich.
Yeah.
So I just kind of relatively want to cut that out and go right to the rich part. Because everyone forgets this. You're in it to make money. Everyone forgets this. And no one talks about this. Everybody just wants to be like, I'm in it for my clients and all this like that. At the end of the day, you're doing it for yourself. And then you get the residuals of helping out people. But you're kind of lying to yourself if you're like, I really love my clients and stuff like that. Well, if you weren't paid, you're not going to love them that much. Full stop.
100%.
Don't lie on it. Like, hard truth right there.
Welcome to The Hard Truth. We're sitting down today with my good friend, Jeff Wybo. Jeff and I are going to dive into a little bit of his background, the wars that he was actually in versus the battles he faces as an Ontario landlord, and how you can partner with Jeff in his REIT to invest in real estate with him. We're also going to talk about some of your social media strategies, those type of things. So getting excited to dive in with you. Okay, so sitting here today with Jeff Wybo. Been doing business with Jeff for many, many years. Excited to have him on. We're going to talk about some of the awesome new stuff he's got going on, or for a couple of years, Foundation Capital. We've previously had his business partner Mitt on the show, but we're gonna, before we get into all the new stuff, what's happening now, we're gonna go back kind of into your journey of real estate, where you got started, what you did before real estate, how you got started into real estate, and where you are today. So yeah, give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah, I started out, I think where I always go back to is I was in the military, and I learned a lot of, working hard in there and working for my money. And then what I did was I was a close protection bodyguard for our top Canadian generals. And I took some very extensive training in the United States from mercenaries actually trained me, and I learned a lot of cool stuff, and I learned how to prepare for the worst days possible. Kind of think of like Secret Service kind of stuff like that is what I was doing. So I learned all this stuff in the military, came back to Canada, and we're at war in Afghanistan, and I had to go there to protect our generals. And going over there, and I did that twice. I spent 440 something days in Afghanistan from 2009 to 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was like a lot, and on my head a lot, and I learned just like little things, like things would come up. We'd be missing ammo, and you have to go find it, and someone would forget the keys, which would be a really bad mess up. But the main thing was, you'd have to still solve the problem. It'd be like, okay, cool, there's no keys, but how are you gonna get the general to the spot? And it was like learning a little bit of these things that later on helps a lot in real estate, because guess what? Oh, the door's locked. Oh, okay, well, now what? You gotta call a locksmith, etc. The mission still has to go through. So these are the kind of things I learned being there. And then I came home back to Canada being like, okay, I made a lot of cash, which is good in a short period of time, which is what anybody can do if you don't have the opportunity to deploy and I made tax-free income over there. So at the time, I was 27, a lot of money in my bank account. You come home and you're like, oh, I don't want to keep doing this, risking my life for money, which is the normal, trade your time.
Well, becoming a landlord in Ontario is kind of the same thing.
But there was no internet, but there wasn't YouTube channels like this in 2012, and I'm home in the first quarter of 2012, and first I thought, well, I don't know if you'll show any of this, but I thought I wanted a penthouse and a BMW car, and I'm like, well, I can't afford that in Canada unless I'm making serious money. And eventually people started talking about investment properties, and again, there was no YouTube, so I had no idea what this was. And I'm like, well, yeah, you become like the landlord and they pay you. I was like, oh, okay. So I ended up buying this purpose-built triplex in London, Ontario. And I decided to live in the basement unit, and then above me I had 6 tenants paying me to live there. And now on YouTube they call this house hacking.
Yep.
There was no word for that. That was just creepy landlord living in the place.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. But the best part was this was students, so they were younger, I was younger. It wasn't like you had a creepy old tenants and you're dealing with crazy landlord tenant stuff right away. So I slowly learned things. I learned how to do leasing, and I learned all this stuff. I learned the customer service between the tenant and the landlord, because I was on site. So I almost over managed my own property.
Yep.
Almost thinking no one could ever manage this without me,
Right.
which is a lot now. You're like too much in your business sometimes, not working on your business.
You basically broke every rule about how to do this. Yeah.
But I just got like thrown into the trenches, figured it out. A lot of people don't take the shot. I was like, oh, I'll figure this out. I had a few friends, not like how the internet is today, or with meetups or something where you can figure things out. Like we did chicken wings and beer back in the day, and then just like, so what do you do for this? And like, just figure it out. And then eventually I'm like, you start taking some more. I did REIT, Real Estate Investment Network, in 2013. I'm like, oh wow, you're supposed to like treat your tenants like customers to your store because they pay you a lot of money. I was like, started thinking like this, more like welcome packages, like more here's with the garbage. It was all paper back then. Now you'd probably just email them a whole PDF or something. But like, here's the garbage schedule. Here, like these are students. They have no idea what they're doing, right?
Right.
But then I'm like, all right, well, I want to grow my small empire, and so I found a nicer duplex. And basically I moved out of the bottom of the triplex, moved to the duplex, rented out the bottom of the triplex, and now I have 5 units. And so I'm like, okay, this is how this works. So eventually, now I'm house hacking at the duplex. It's a bit nicer. And met my wife, and then, well, at the time, my girlfriend, and then we got engaged and we got married, and it's like, well, we need a better place. So then eventually rented out the whole duplex, moved to a new build, benefited from the market, which clearly that was luck. I mean, like not like the most people in the last so many years. We're talking like 2018 was when I think we closed on that. So that appreciated, and it's like, I'm doing good. I got the triplex, the duplex. Now I have my adult home, because basically people are like, you can't be 31 living in duplexes house hacking, but I did it, Anyways, most kids probably won't want to do that anymore, right? And by the way, for the video, I'm 40 now, so you can kind of go back on the timeline a bit. But
I didn't know you were 40. You're 40, the 40.
Old man.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's going good. But then you start seeing that.
So when you were doing that, you were retired from the military when you came back?
I was part-time.
Okay.
So that was when I was deployed. I was like full-time there.
Okay.
You get home and they go like, okay, good luck in Canada.
Right.
And then they're like, well, we have Thursday night training at between 7 and 10, and you can make $75. You're like, well, that's great, but you would have had to go for more contracts, which in the military, most of our work is away, not home.
Yeah.
And I was getting to I kind of skipped all that partying kind of in my early 20s. So when I was home, I was like, okay, I got 1 year of 2012, 2013 to be like, well, now I'm young and I can do what all my old. It's so dumb. Do not do this. Yeah. But it's because there's never an end to chasing that party. Yeah. You eventually just become in your 30s and you're like, well, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
I do not care about going out. But back then you're trying to chase that. And what I didn't want to do was get what was I going to do? Be an insurance salesman or something like that? And because I was like, then somebody, they haven't even mentioned it yet, but was like, you should be a realtor. I'm like, or realtor. He's like, what? I'm like, what is this? Old man driving a van around with a piece of paper, MLS listing, being like, do you like this condo? And I'm like, well, that's boring. And then but then $1 million listing starts hitting the TVs around the time, and these guys are making bank commissions.
Yeah.
So I get my real estate license in 2016 because I don't know what to do with the military, and I'm like, I don't want to do any more deployments and stuff like that.
So you had a couple properties, house hacking,
living for free, wondering what to do with life, could still go on vacation because I wasn't new to a job where they're like, well, you don't get those holiday hours.
Right.
I'm like, if I need to get out of here, I can go. So I liked that freedom. I liked living for free. And I didn't want a real job. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No.
All of us. Yeah. Right? None of it. All your guests. Everybody is pretty dynamic.
Nobody wants a real job.
Nobody wants a real job.
Everybody understands we have to work.
We do work.
Nobody wants a real job.
And I'm more obsessed with working now than even probably back then.
Yeah.
I think you'll work harder if money's coming in.
Yeah.
If no money's coming in, you don't have the motivation.
Yeah.
If it's coming in, you're gonna wake up every morning and work because you're like, oh, it's flowing. I better get on the phone calls and make the calls. Become a real estate agent, and I'm like, well, I can sell beautiful homes, or I can help people with investment properties, and all that turned into was slightly being a coach to execute on a sale, which was then commission. And I was like, I'm day one realtor and you'll let me sell your multifamily property? Like, yeah, you know what you're doing. Like, okay, yeah, I guess I do. Like, 'cause, like, in every other job except for real estate agent, like, they want to know how like junior you are, but if you come in with experience of being a landlord and then got your license, you're like at least ahead of the curve of like your peers.
Yep.
Right? Maybe not in the full space of multifamily realtors, but like you can still hold your own. Like, you know the law, you know the leases, like that's pretty much all it is, right?
Yep.
So start helping landlords, making money. Then I'm like, okay, I go on this bus tour in Kitchener with a realtor, and he took them around to investment properties, okay? And I was coming home and they're like, you need to do this. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. That's tough to put myself out there. Because I was coming from like secret world of military to like overt world of real estate agent.
Yeah.
And now learning you got to be overt in investing as well too, not quiet, right?
Yeah.
So I come home and I ended up doing like a limo. I get a limo.
This is where Wybo
Wybo tour, and like it was a grind, and it wasn't even that bad of a loss leader. It was just like exhausting. Like you would just find off-market properties, have investors come. They paid $20-$30 just to, like, they paid it to come, walk them through like one unit of like a triplex or something. 4 hours later, maybe they offered, maybe they didn't. It didn't really matter. It was just like building this volume of investors that trusted me as like a person that would at least take them to off-market properties. If I knew what I was talking about or not, they were on the limo. So I'm providing them opportunities, and all that really was doing was just getting my name out there more, and then it was doing more events and putting on conferences and stuff like that. All of a sudden I started doing without knowing how to do that. That's a huge one too in this business, is like no one knows what they're doing. Like, I don't know how to put on a conference. Okay, book the venue, check.
Right.
work backwards, sell tickets, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I do the Ontario Real Estate Conference twice. Just all that was doing was building a huge network of, I call them like the mums and dad investors.
Yep.
A lot of your lenders on the mortgages are what I would just label as the mums and dads. Like,
yep,
they have money, they don't want to do that, they don't want to like do it.
Yep.
They want to invest, and that's kind of how we eventually got here. But yeah, people were buying big buildings, and I'm like, well, why not us? Like, and like first that just seems like, oh, a 12-plex, oh my god, it's so big. But it's the same stuff as a triplex and a duplex. It's just bigger. It's actually easier.
So
Yeah.
just to keep the timeline straight, Realtor in 2016,
Yeah.
Wybo limo tours and social media. You guys nailed it.
I could put something on this that someone won't even know. I was doing Periscope. Do you remember? No one's gonna remember what this is. This was before Instagram. Like, I was just trying things. There was an app called Periscope. You would just go live to the world.
Yeah.
I just went live to the world about an open house. Like, it was,
right.
I was trying things. I had agents in my ear being like, well, what you got to do is go spend $2,500 on Vistaprint flyers and then mail drop them, and you will maybe make a 10 grand commission if somebody calls you and you close. And I'm like, how do I virtually mail drop them for no money? And I'm like, social media.
And you get this more than most people. When you build the brand and reputation, because I remember when I met you, you had no idea who I was, but I knew who you were. You were like kind of like introducing yourself,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I know who you are, man. Like, and it's amazing. It's
That's
almost
made me a lot of money.
Yeah, 100% it has, and it's amazing that process of when you build a brand on social media and you put yourself out there and just consistent, and you weren't. Like, we all know the Wybo limo tours were to sell houses for Jeff Wybo, the realtor, but nobody was upset by that. You created that value first. I created a bunch of off-market deals. I got a nice limo. I'm asking for $20-$30 to cover the tip for the driver. And I want to provide value first. If you want to buy a house from me, great. If not, no problem. Nice to meet you. Hopefully we do business in the future.
And at the same time, your staff over here, Peter, would film me, and I would use it as marketing.
Yeah.
Right? And like, that's kind of, how can I turn this into marketing? How can I be on offense at all times? Like, oh, I'm sitting and watching the Leafs win the Atlantic. What post can I be making right now? You know, like I'm weird like that. Like I'll always be like searching, because like the big thing is my Instagram, YouTube channel, that kind of stuff is, what can I be doing? I can always go back to the military. You can be a lazy soldier sitting around doing nothing. You can even be a lazy soldier in the security element of it. Like I should be protecting my friends, my buddies. I won't go over there, or I'm not gonna clean the stuff. That's lazy. We have a saying, look for work. And that can mean, well, can I find a better way to protect my buddies in the security element of it? Or can I just like find something to do to help the team out? And I bring that over to real estate. I'm like, look for work. That doesn't mean you're trying to get a job. That means like, what can I be doing today? Can I be making a post? What do? I raise capital now. How do I do that?
So we're going. I know you want to get into foundation of big buildings, so let's go there. So the one thing I want to talk about is the transition before that, because we had another gentleman here, Zach earlier today, who's a realtor, who's moving to the construction side, big building. You're still a realtor.
Yes.
But you don't traditionally practice.
Well, I've always
as much.
used my license more like as for my like business. Like I'm using it to make me money. I don't want to be the best realtor. I want to be the richest.
Right.
But not necessarily because of being a realtor.
Right.
I just want to use the license.
Yeah. Because there's not a lot of Jeff Wybo real estate for sale signs around.
No, because
you're buying the properties.
I might be buying the properties, and that might drain my energy and time in the day to go sell for somebody else. Because at the end of the day, the realtor, we're brokering the deal for someone else getting rich.
Yeah.
So I just kind of relatively want to cut that out and go right to the rich part. Because remember this is a flow chart of why anyone's getting into why anyone's getting into being an agent, or why anyone's getting into investing for sure. And everyone forgets this. You're in it to make money. Everyone forgets this. And no one talks about this. Everybody just wants to be like, I'm in it for my clients and all this like that. At the end of the day, you're doing it for yourself. And then you get the residuals of helping out people. But you're kind of lying to yourself if you're like, I really love my clients and stuff like that. Well, if you weren't paid, you're not going to love them that much. Full stop.
100%.
Don't lie on it. Like hard truth right there. Like you're not, right? So we won't even talk about the agents, because that's their business, is like kind of, I'm here to help everybody. But even real estate investors, like what are you doing? Like before you buy it, what's your exit strategies? Like how are you going to make money? Just, is it cool to collect properties?
Yeah.
That then you don't do anything to, and then they go down in value? Like just so you can go have a beer and say that you're a real estate investor? Or go back to the flow chart. Why are you in this? To make money.
Right.
That's like, think about the offense there. How am I going to sell it?
We all the time, people, and I don't want to kill them for it when they get excited. I'm just super passionate about real estate. I don't think you're as passionate.
I'll sell rocks if you're gonna give me $500,000 on selling rocks.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like,
the people who are successful in this business aren't passionate about the bricks, mortar, tenants, toilets, chasing bills, whatever that is. We're passionate about a business that creates money and profit.
No one talks about that.
Yeah.
Because we're Canadian. Yeah. We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we're humble. We're humble. We're sorry.
We are providing housing, all that good answers of it. And, I'm responsible for over 250 Canadian investors' money.
Yeah.
So, like, they should be happy that I want the companies to make money so that they can make money, right?
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed with that. And can be sleepless nights, and it's like, how am I going to do this? And but it's it's good problems to have. And
talk about foundation. How did you guys start? Because you guys are now an incredible REIT that is available for people to invest in. Not a solicitation. Go through their exempt market dealer. But talk to us about where you were born, your partnership group, how you got.
Well, strangely, at the end of one of the limo tours, there was like a sixplex, and that might as well have been like a skyscraper at the time, right?
Yep.
And we just kind of were like, well, let's figure out a way. And I think we VTB'd it, and we just acquired a sixplex. All of a sudden, Foundation Capital is kind of born. And then Foundation Capital was like wondering what to do, and we're like, oh, well, we did a flip, probably made $5,000 on it or something. Like, if we're lucky, and we're probably lying, so we probably
You didn't factor in your time.
like every flipper, like somewhat is not accurate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Probably like negative $3,000 or something like that by the end of the day. But successfully did that, I guess. And then we. You know, you can steal this if you're young realtors or something, or young real estate investors. What I would do is go find expired listings or sold listings. And what it would do was have a sold realtor attached to it. So I found this 17-plex pretty much, and I emailed the agent and I was like, hi, we're Foundation Capital, the greatest company in the world, and we would like to, if I sent you an offer, would you show it to the seller if you still know them? Oh yeah, I know Bob, whatever, because they're the ones that did the deal. And why I build the realtor in is because I'm almost using him as my realtor, but not my realtor. Because what do the realtors want?
Money.
So on a random Tuesday, let's just say, I can't remember necessarily what the purchase price was, but let's just say it was somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million or something like that, right? Maybe at the time. And you know, what's the guy going to make on a random Tuesday? 30 grand? He's gonna go bug the agent, right?
This is a good deal. This is a good offer.
The seller, right? He's gonna go bug the seller. So we ended up getting this deal, and now all of a sudden we grown to like 17 units, and we're like, oh, and think these units were disgusting, and like we had work to do, right? And at the beginning we're slow. We don't the contractor things. We're trying to like. You're trying to do everything all of a sudden. We had to like take a tarp down, almost need like a bio suit to get into one of the units. It was like that bad of like just left. So we get that one and we start buying more and more buildings and everything's going good. People want to start partnering because of the social media, but say no to joint ventures. I know it seems so easy at the beginning, and then you read every real estate book and it's like joint ventures. There's whole books on from Rain, Real Estate Investment Network, about joint ventures. But someone always gets hurt a little bit, and plans change too, because there's going to be the operating partner and the money partner, and the money partner is going to butt into the operator here and there in any situation, not just with us. And they're gonna be like, what's going on? And like, because they want to be kind of active, and then if it's a 5-year plan, year 2, maybe they want their money back.
Life happens.
Exactly.
And then, you know, let's just like the honest side of it is life happens. I'll tell you, I had two partners totaling 8 properties that got divorced back to back.
Yeah.
So 2 different couples that were the money partners on title of the deal of 8 properties in total. They both got divorced. Both partnerships said, we'll both stay partnered with you, but we'll be separate. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work.
No.
That does not work. So even no matter how best intention a JV is, it is not a scalable way to grow it. Mm-hmm. It's just not. Mm-hmm. And when you got into the magnitude of these were real JVs. These weren't a little duplex with a cosign. These were big buildings, big dollars. And it was a strain there in terms of, you guys grew really fast anyways, but had you done what you've done now, a REIT right away versus JV, like how do you compare that?
I would have been able to raise the capital for the REIT as well as before. We didn't JV everything. We only JV'd a handful of deals, and I guess I'm proud to say that from purchase price to sell of we didn't go this way. We went $1 million north.
Right.
So
everyone made money.
Everyone made money. So everyone, high five. Everyone made money, and but that you give up a lot of ownership too.
Right.
And then you're like, oh man, if I just would have had the money, I could have made the extra percentages, right?
Right. But
people still wanted to partner with us. We had lots of buildings that were just with us, not with JVs, but Mitt wanted to do the REIT, and I didn't know what the REIT was. Like, I didn't know this was something that a guy with a cell phone could do, and because that's all I operate on, right? We don't have overhead like crazy. We've made a private trust with laptops and cell phones, which I think is a huge business lesson too. Like, you don't need fancy, there's no Foundation Capital, like commercial space downtown Toronto right now draining money.
Right.
We're just money in.
You're hitting your yields.
Bring that money in, I'll run this Jeff Wybo social media on my cell phone, especially in the early stages.
Right.
So we make the REIT because people wanted to become. It provided us with ways to potentially exit the first portfolio. The first portfolio could also exit to the market, not necessarily to the REIT. But if it was a good enough deal, the REIT could purchase it. So it provided us with some exit. And the REIT can still buy something on or off market that makes sense for the REIT. Okay. And then people got to be part of it now. They get some swag. They get to get percentages of, they've been following it since limo tour times, and now they get to have a piece of the rent.
Right.
And obviously, our avatar of customer is either soccer mom and dads that do not want to have anything. They work, they're a cop, they're a nurse. They don't want anything to do with tenants and toilets, like completely. But the best avatar right now is the people that have been following us. Hit the wall. Let's just call it like the kitchen. I'll avatar everybody in a bit, but like the Kitchener triplex type people.
Yep.
Sitting on a ton of equity. Maybe hit a tenant wall of like frustration with the Landlord Tenancy Act. You know, didn't pay, or just like they're in their 30s now and they're like, why do I do this?
Right.
They liquidate, and then they're we'll just take like $1 million investor all of a sudden from liquidating real estate. Everyone thinks it's a doctor. Everyone thinks doctors don't drop $1 million in my lap. No. It's the real estate investor that liquidated the Kitchener triplexes.
And they're looking at your performance, your
They understand real estate. Yeah. They understand it all. They just don't want to, like, you go back to, why do we do this? Make money. Not be a landlord. Who wants to be the world's greatest landlord? Go to class.
Yeah.
For coaching.
It's amazing.
They all do it. I don't know if it's because they went to school and then they think they got to go to training. Like, I did it too, but I mean...
I still do it. I still do it.
I guess take it and then go use it to make money. Don't continue to go just to have a drink about it with your fellow classmates of real estate coaching. Yeah, because these people, they've told me at our socials being like, you're our retirement plan. And I'm like, I love that responsibility. Thank you. And let's do it. Like
you've used some really strong words tonight, and you'll hear me talk about it on social media. I hate the term OPM as a gimmick. It's never been OPM, like raise OPM. It's other people's retirement money, other people's home equity, other people's everything, children's education, inheritance, all of those things, which is why security is so important, whether it's a first mortgage, whether it's shares in a fund that's audited.
That's been huge.
Yeah, third-party audit. It's not just Mitt and Jeff saying things are good. We got a third-party accountant.
When they go like, oh, I got $100,000 to give you. Well, it doesn't go to me. You have to talk to the exempt market dealer to qualify you to make an investment, and then it gets registered. Like it doesn't go to my Lambo.
No, no.
So it goes. Yeah. So that's why it provides so much.
It matters.
Safety and to people. And one other one, we had investors come up to us like they had medical problems. And like they're like, thank you, like, because our cash flow to them, they can just worry about life and not about, and they're doing pretty well in Foundation Capital. So literally they can just live, and deal with their medical issues. And
your social media speaks to this now in this conversation today. Is you're saying it's just so bluntly to people, like, what are you doing?
I wanted this on the hard truth.
Yeah. Okay. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know, you got into this for money. You're not making any money. You're working a job you don't like, and there's an opportunity to participate in something like this that has all the fundamentals, mechanics, and you get what you want, which is money. You're not passionate. I can tell this conversation. You're not passionate about real estate here. Like,
but you have so much to learn. If you go buy a small level duplex, triplex, you got the municipal laws to deal with, you know, you got the building kind of code of like ceiling heights, then you gotta learn how to lease things, then you gotta learn how to like advertise to get your tenant, then you gotta deal with tenant management, then you gotta, I should get a property manager, then it's cutting into your profits, and then if you wanna actually get the appreciation, you have to liquidate, which then you're gonna pay taxes on, and then you're gonna pay real estate agents. There's a lot to do.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like, you should just invest in the REIT.
Well, and after you do all that stuff, you got to do all the accounting.
Oh, God, yeah.
And here's what Jeff is the smartest guy in the world. Partner with accountants.
I'm the guy that runs in the room and just figures it out, and
Yeah.
then like, yeah, go talk to the nerds.
Yeah, well, Mitt's been a client of mine for years, and my favorite type of people to lend money to are accountants, because when you ask for a document, it's like this. It's
Yeah.
like everything, and then it's also, I sent you this document, but I know when you read that document, you're gonna have this and this, so that are already attached, this is the answer to that, and you're done. And it's just like due diligence is like this with dealing with these guys,
And maybe if I've been fast talking on this a little bit, and then, oh well, Jeff would just go buy anything. Mitt's like, whoa, hold on, buddy. Like the Excel spreadsheet doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, all right, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's a good yin and yang in our company, where it's like, yes, we're not just like, oh, let's just buy this with no exit and not because the realtors say this, or oh, London units will be $350 a unit in no time. It's like, well,
right.
Like you'll just get told anything to make the sale. So it's nice to have our internal auditors of Mitt and Pearsant going over all that, and then sometimes me hunting the deals, and then dealing with all tenant crap that shows up. And
so your acquisition and your do oversight of the PM. So your PM's on site?
So I always bring back to the military setting. It's like, I know how to dig a trench, but if I'm the general, I'm going to be like, dig a trench there, dig a trench there, dig a trench there.
Yep.
So I'm usually doing the oversight, and we're trying to put one more person in place, because I can't do that forever as we grow, because it's just like, how many times are we going to go over locks?
Right.
We're in the business of locks and keys.
Right.
We should figure this out. So there's some headaches that still hit us, and it's like, I just need to hire someone who's me to then do me things. But one thing I've been recently doing, I've been visiting my properties a lot more recently, and I kind of like king of outsourcing. Don't do it. Send me a video. I'll just watch the video. But going there, think offense. I find ways like, oh, I could increase revenue. I see something here. I think I could split these units into multiple units. Now it spurred a whole project, which is going to increase revenues for the company.
Is this gone through Mitt's approval?
This has gone through Mitt's approval. Jeff is like, all right, we can invade the enemy this way. I just need this, and this, and this. And Mitt's like, let me see if we can do this. All right, approved. Boom.
Good.
So architects throughout, this kind of stuff,
Cool.
permits, and it's exciting. Like, just.
I love that you talk about it, because this is what I'm saying right now more than anything. The stories of failure and negativity that I'm hearing about, 2 years ago, a lot of those people started announcing that they've hired this new staff who's going to take over for them, and they're stepping back to grow. Wow. Like, you got to keep your hands on the wheel.
If anything,
you got to drive.
We are the most psychoist micromanagers. Like, there's no weekends.
No.
I don't even know what I would do on a weekend. Like, we haven't even touched about my home life. But included in all this, I have 4 kids that are always on me and stuff like that, and I am solving tenant and toilet problems, like, to the managers, what to say.
Yeah.
All the kids are on me. But that's a luxury too, that I'm home every day.
Yeah.
And I can book meetings like this in the middle of the day when they're at school and stuff like that. And yeah, we are the craziest micromanagers, to me and Mitt, to a fault of like a little bit too much.
It's okay.
But our investors like that, right?
You have people's livelihoods on the line. You'd rather be over than under.
Yeah, you can't be like, oh, my 45 grand annual office administrator messed it up. No, it's on us, right?
Yep.
Like, so if people DM me, I'm there. I think everybody in this room knows that. Like,
yeah, very responsive on Instagram.
But that's why I do that. It's almost like, as I get a message on Instagram or anywhere, text, it is providing me an opportunity to respond to the investor or future investor with like peace of mind. Jeff's here. How many other types you could never get a hold of them?
Yep.
And when do they shy away? When there's bad news.
Yep.
Right? The ghost. And one of the most expensive things to provide is peace of mind. And that's all sales is. Peace of mind. You want to develop this by the water? It's going to be okay. It's going to make money. Oh, okay. I'll sign here.
Yep.
Oh, that's risky. I'm not going to sign. Right? How do you provide peace of mind? Transparency. That's the business right there.
I built my entire mortgage business on good news, bad news, or no news, I'll answer the phone. I'll respond to your email. I'll give you the answer. And I
you can't get a hold of people.
In today's environment, there is more bad news. It's the reality of it. And I can't tell you how many times I have to send an email right now, and I have to give some, like, it's not catastrophic. We're a first mortgage, but there's a default. And here's the process, and most people just thank you for the communication. I appreciate that. Let me know what you need from me.
Half the battle, because then they're stewing in the background, and Kyle won't pick up my phone.
Then the mind spirals.
Mind spirals.
Right?
Stop, nip that in the butt, and it's in a good way too. Like, for just raising, I'm there.
Yeah.
Well, what's the guarantee? Well, can't use the word guarantee in Canada, but you're not investing in a tech stock. You're investing in brick and mortar.
We had to take over a development deal, and we're putting the money out right now. We've done a couple of presentations, and I'm hammering on the risks. I'm hammering on all the things that can go wrong. And so many people are like, no, I appreciate that. I get it. Like, I thank you for not hiding that. I'm interested.
It sounds better probably out of your mouth than the EMD.
Right. True.
They like to scare the investor.
Yeah. So. Well, but at the end of the day, the EMD side of things, it protects us.
I say that my way to on the sales call would be like, they're the priest, and they will bless you to make an investment, and they're going to tell you all, like, that an investment could go to zero, and then I'm like, but then you need to step back and be like, well, what am I investing in? Am I investing in something like that can go to zero? Like, is there any piece of land in Ontario that's zero?
No.
Okay, so, like, did your neighbor's house go down in value? Oh, maybe. Did it go down to zero? No. Did it go down, fluctuate 100 grand? So, like, your money's not gone, short of what we're dealing with in the world right now. Like, if a nuke hits Toronto, okay, and we're all euchred, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, short of that, where Foundation Capital is buying is on the 401, okay, which has strong economic fundamentals, which is a good real estate investment network word that Don Campbell used to use.
Yep.
We don't buy in North Bay. We don't buy in Sudbury. We don't buy in these tertiary type markets. We like to buy along the 401, which is a major artery out of Toronto.
Yep.
Because who's our customers? Tenants. What do they need? Jobs. Okay, these are cities that are striving, and why people would come to need an apartment.
Yeah,
and then you get appreciation. So,
and you're not buying in Toronto; you're buying more southwestern.
Because
Toronto's the hub.
Toronto is where it's the top.
Yep.
Okay, but rent from Toronto to Windsor doesn't change too much, actually, because rent is based on what a person, like anybody relatively know, they probably make between something 0 or to 100K, right?
Yep.
And these are the people that are probably going to rent. And in our Toronto, let's just somewhere just west of it, but then all the way to Windsor, 2 beds are still around like $1,800 to $2,000, but purchase prices are a lot higher per unit.
Right.
So that's kind of our sweet spot. Get away from the top of Toronto, still get the Toronto rent because we're providing a really good unit, and then purchase for a lower purchase price, but then get the appreciation afterwards.
And are you okay? So, and I know this mostly, but for our viewers, where's Foundation buying right now?
We are buying London, Chatham. We'll stop at Chatham.
Okay.
We don't like Windsor. Sorry, Windsor.
Okay, that's okay.
They're too America.
Yeah. People want to keep things Canadian right now.
Exactly. So stop at Chatham, and then we got some St. Thomas.
Okay.
And we do have a Hamilton. We're looking to liquidate that and just more focus down. We have Ingersoll.
Okay.
It's outside of Woodstock.
Yep.
That kind of stuff. Sarnia.
A little bit.
We acquired Sarnia from opportunity.
Yep.
Don't need it. Windsor and Sarnia are what I joke and say the end of the subway stops.
Right.
And you don't nobody.
I don't want to be in the middle of the subway. Yeah, interesting.
Which is the highway.
Okay.
So there's opportunities. There's anything, right? Buy a farm if you wanted to, but we're always seeing deals. We're always hunting, talking to agents, and comparing what's out there. Yeah, Sarnia just popped up, so we acquired those ones. We would liquidate them if. For what reason? Make money.
the guys with the staying power, and the more people I talk to, it's all about focus right now. They're trying to bring things.
We don't have Tim Hortons. We don't like. We just do apartment buildings.
Yeah.
The most boringest thing.
And you're identifying the outliers.
Yeah.
You're in this southwestern Ontario pocket. You got a Hamilton. You got a good deal in Hamilton. You made some money in Hamilton, but it's not really where everything else is. So you're gonna. I remember years ago that St. Catharines deal you guys flipped out that I was involved with.
Oh, I wish we did that one.
That turned out to be a really good deal, but
You can't do everything.
you can't do everything, and you guys maintained your focus. And even though that was a good deal, alternatively, you guys did multiple other good deals and executed in your own market, right? So I think that's where the staying power is happening.
Now listen to this one. We're talking about purchase price and rent. So we have an area where there's some 3 bedrooms. Okay, most apartment buildings we buy have 1 beds and 2 beds and bachelors, but mostly 1 beds and 2 beds. Now go back to like what a person makes. They only make so much. Minimum wage is kind of how rent is up and down the province, right?
Yep.
The same minimum wage in Toronto is the same as it is in Windsor. So we have 3 beds, which are huge square footage, which can only generate around $1,900 to $2,100 a month in rent for a 3-bedroom apartment. But since we're not buying small little houses where like cities have like zoning issues, we still talk to the cities, but they're all about more housing because the world needs more housing, or Canada needs more housing right now. So for a 3-bedroom apartment, we're finding ways that we could actually, with permits, renovate these to make 4 bachelors. Okay, a bachelor rent is going to be, which is insane because we used to buy bachelors before and I never thought people were going to rent these, but economy, people need a space to live now. Student rentals, they pay $1,000 a bedroom now, right? Or between 800 and 1,000. So bachelors still get 1,000 to 1,200, which is insane.
Right.
Okay, so now you have a 3-bedroom that can only make 2,100 in rent. But now I'm going to spend capital costs to make 4 bachelors in the same square footage of the 3-bedroom. So then if I can, at low, let's just say 1,000, it's the same square footage, I'll get $4,000 rent. Okay? We're not redeveloping out of the building, we're just like internally renovating. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a lot relatively easier. Okay? Which then does what? What do appraisals want to see? Money.
The simplification of this is beautiful.
From creative thinking, like at the low level, people used to do this all the time. Like I turned my duplex into a triplex, and secondary suites. So I buy the bungalow and I make the extra one. Like, well, now I'm just doing it at the corporate level.
And this was from, like you said, you're doing site visits. You got your hands on the wheel. You're going out. Ultimately, this is where people are struggling. Is they're the visionary. They're the person behind it, and then they try to scale out and get everyone else to do it. And you're going back. You got your hands on the wheel. You're in there. You're seeing this. Your PM has seen that 3-bedroom 100 times. They didn't think of this.
Yeah, and I'm talking to tenants more now. I used to I'm not talking to them.
Yeah.
I'm talking to them. I signed some N11s, complete mutual. They're happy. They high-fived me. Like, I'll just go talk to people.
Right.
Why? I want to push my company forward. Not always let my staff do it. Obviously, that's hard to scale, but I'm like, what else am I doing today?
Yeah.
Let's think offense. Let's think action. What can I do to make money? Let's go, okay, shot a video. Now I'm going to go do this. There's a movie with Donald Trump, The Apprentice. Not the TV show The Apprentice, but the biopic that just came out.
Okay.
So it's not Donald Trump, it's an actor playing him, but he's knocking on the doors in like the Bronx, in like showing the 70s. And I'm like, nothing changes. And then the tenant's like, oh, I can't pay. I'm just like, nothing changes. And I'm like, it's hilarious. And I do like to say that about Foundation Capital. We are not reinventing the wheel. Buy low, renovate, refinance high. How many years has this been happening? 100?
Yeah. It's been famous on YouTube for 10 years
10
now.
years on YouTube. In real life, how long has it been happening?
People have been doing it for years. We get the calls all the time from the 45-year-old 50 guy being like, apparently I've been burring and house hacking my whole life.
Yeah, it's kind of like how I didn't know what house hacking was.
But they were like, yeah, we have a $5 million net worth.
Increasing the revenue.
Yeah, it just made sense. The tenants paid the mortgage. It made sense. So we're getting to the end here.
Okay.
So people can reach out to follow Jeff on Instagram, Mitt, Piersanth, follow these guys. They're tons of value. Foundation Capital is, I've personally done a lot of work with you guys on the mortgage side of things and the financing side. When people ask about places to consider, I always mention you guys. It makes sense. Yeah. It's not some flashy
Go back to the
thing.
flow chart.
Yeah.
What would you like to do? Would you like to make money?
Yeah, I love it. So reach out to these guys. Jeff, kind of finish it off here. I mean, what's the hard truth? We got a couple minutes. I'm going to give you two hard truths. I want you to give a hard truth to the newbie.
Yeah.
I want you to give it to somebody who's just getting on, and then somebody who's like maybe stuck at the 5 property.
Oh, okay.
So 2 hard truths.
I guess the newbie, you're probably, obviously there's a lot to do, and you're probably lying to yourself if you're actually cash flowing, because you might be in Ontario, you might be like one fridge going down, and we joked about earlier about the flipping and like, oh, you're probably negative. Everybody thinks that they're doing well, but if they actually studied what they're making, they're probably not making anything. So, right. And that's the problem, is because we go back to what rent is and what purchase prices are. And it's really hard to get entry level that doesn't have a lot of repairs to happen, because if it's perfect, it's too expensive. So newbies, you're in trouble unless you want to kind of house hack something, So you are not cash flowing. That's your hard truth.
I love that. You're not. You're not. As the mortgage broker, I'm the one breaking the bad news to you and saying you don't qualify for as much as you think you do, because the bank takes 50% of your rents away. Yep. So even when you take 100% of your rent, your fridge goes, your accounting bill, your time, you're not cash flowing. So. You're
lying to yourself.
And then, okay, so now I love that.
The veteran.
The vet, somebody who's not new, they've been around. What do they need to know to get to the next level? What do they need to know?
Well, they're probably out of money, possibly at 5. So maybe, I guess, look at your 5, and I think you can do this in any business, is like, which one's not performing as well.
Sell the dog.
So
sell the dog. Everyone's got one.
Let's get rid of the bottom. And what's that going to do? Put some money in your pocket, and maybe it goes back to your flow chart. You made some money there, and you can hold it, invest it into another property or into a private REIT, but go back to what you're trying to do. So everybody talks about like, oh, I got into real estate for time and freedom. And it's like, wow, then do it. Like, sell something.
This is something that we continue to hear more and more. Everyone who's buy and hold until the cow comes home. James talked earlier, he sold his 2 duplex, bought 34. Zach talked about earlier how he sells if it's possible. You got to sell.
The fastest way to money, anything, you have the most valuable PSA 10 baseball card, is to flip it right away, not hold it for generations, because one, that doesn't cash flow. Real estate cash flows, objects don't, right? Like art, etc. You got to sell it, because I've been studying that a little bit more too. It's like, how can I make? What else can I learn?
Right.
But yeah, like someone like James, that's the quickest way to money to get it, is to sell. Just like the example of the Kitchener triplex guy that sold his triplexes, he's sitting on a bunch of money now. Here's one for you. When I first bought my triplex, you get the 30-year AM, and you look at that, and you're like, oh, in 2042, this would be gone, because I bought it in 2012, right? Probably my math's off there. 52.
Close enough.
2052. The future. One day this will be paid off, and I will make $4,000 a month cash flow. But is that really ever going to happen at our level? No. One, you might refi in year 12, just out of the blue, right? And then repairs, you can dig up the whole exterior of the property, spend $30,000 getting weeping tile and all this stuff in. Shit happens at properties, right? And yeah, rents will go up, so maybe that $4,000 in 20 years will be $8,000. But sell. I mean, sell some stuff. Like, this is the quickest way to cash.
Yeah. You got to I call the strategy sell the dog. No matter how great all 5 of your properties are, one property is less great.
It's a good exercise to always go over.
And for those Toronto investors, it's going to be the one in your favorite location.
Yeah.
It always is. It's always the Yonge and Eglinton condo that you never want to get rid of. That's always the one that's crippling your ability to finance more properties. I'm sorry.
So those Toronto guys, and they all, like the finance bro types, and they all went and bought a condo or they bought new development because they're speculating on it.
Yeah.
And then they're negative. They can't even close on it. They're negative close, and then they come to me being like, "Is my investment safe in Foundation Capital?" And I'm like, "Bro, you're not a good investor." So.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
So yeah, you're gonna be okay with me. So don't worry.
Very real conversation today, Jeff. I appreciate the honesty,
truth.
the transparency, the hard truth. Make sure you check out the Foundational Capital guys. Not a solicitation. Contact their EMB.
.ca.
.ca. And yeah, thanks very much for having you. Okay.
Thanks, man.